Shadowhunters, Tales of the Cornwall Institute, Chapter 3, How the Mighty Fall. Mordred paced the living room of Jan's apartment, his movements almost feral as waves of anger radiated off him. "How dare these useless mortals take my kingdom from me?" he snarled, voice echoing against the walls. Nearby, Jan slumped in an armchair, arms crossed over his chest. He looked drained, as though freeing Mordred had demanded every ounce of his magic. Meanwhile, Leviathan lay sprawled across the couch, a wicked smile playing on his lips. "Well, my dear boy," Leviathan purred, "tell me, what are you going to do about it? After all, you know who's really to blame here." Mordred spun on his heels, his glare cutting straight into Leviathan. "The Nephilim still hold power in this realm." "They call themselves Shadowhunters these days," Leviathan said with a dismissive wave of his hand. "But yes, they do. You see, your dear old father, King Arthur, led the council that defeated your mother. Then he handed over all the land the mortals could ever want." Leviathan's voice dipped, and his eyes gleamed with dark amusement. "And before all that, he ordered his warlock to seal you away." Mordred's fists clenched at his sides, knuckles whitening. "He stole my birthright," he hissed, bitterness dripping from every syllable. "Arthur and his precious council thought they could extinguish my legacy. I will show them how wrong they were." Jan swallowed hard, still nursing his drained magic. He glanced from Leviathan's smug expression to Mordred's righteous fury and felt a twinge of unease. In his own mind, Jan questioned whether he truly wanted a hand in resurrecting ancient feuds and legacies best left forgotten. Yet his father, Leviathan, had demanded his compliance. Outside, a sudden gust of wind rattled the apartment's windows, as though the storm of Mordred's fury reverberated in the very air around them. A brief moment of silence followed, broken only by the soft burble of water in the decorative fountains. Then Leviathan rose from the couch in a sinuous, effortless motion. "Well, my boy," he said, addressing Jan but letting his gaze linger on Mordred, "the question now is, how far will you go to reclaim what was taken from you?" Mordred's eyes sparked with a dangerous light. "I will do whatever it takes," he vowed. "No mortal or Shadowhunter will stand in my way." Jan felt a shiver roll down his spine as he realized that the die had been cast. Whatever storms lay ahead, he was bound to Leviathan's machinations and to Mordred's ambitions by blood and magic alike. And in the watery sanctuary of his apartment, the stage was set for a confrontation that threatened to shake the foundations of the Shadowhunter world.
Two friends sit in a pub in the capital of Elfheim.
"Hey man, are you into comics at all?"
Yeah, man, like, way into them.
"I was, but I just don't have the time for it anymore, with questing and all my duties IRL.
Hold up. Why don't you check out Nerds Through Comics?
Dude, this says Nerds Throw Comics, not Nerds Through Comics."
Yeah, it's a joke that two of the producers had and just ran with it.
Producers?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that Nerds Through Comics is produced by Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger.
Okay, I know that name. Hold on, you said two producers.
Oh yeah, it's part of the Three Ranger Bros studio, run by Cosplay Dude 637, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and Ty Tiger.
Did you just say Ty Tiger in Cosplay Dude?
Yeah, yes, I did. And Mark the Red Cornish Ranger.
I love the stuff they do on their other channels. I didn't know they were part of this podcast studio.
That they are.
Okay, that's Nerds Through Comics, spelled THROW, right?
That's right. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts.
Thanks, man. I am so going to subscribe.
Discover Nerds Through Comics, produced by the amazing team behind the Three Ranger Bros studio. Cosplay Dude 637, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and Thai Tiger. Find it on all major podcast platforms. Go and follow now.
Mark and his team stepped cautiously into the hidden chamber deep within Pendennis Castle. The remains of the once grand room lay in total disarray. Shattered fragments of the Adamus casket, Mordred's prison, were scattered across the floor like broken shards of ice. "So, this is bad, right?" Logan asked, breaking the tense silence. His eyes swept over the devastation, lingering on the largest pieces of the crystalline material. "Bad is an understatement, kid," Ace growled, arms folded over his chest as he surveyed the wreckage. Mark bent down, picking up a shard of the glittering material. "This was the resting place of one of the most powerful beings, second only to the princes of hell," he explained, voice low. "What could be that powerful?" Keely asked, her gaze darting anxiously from the debris to Mark's grim expression. "How well do you all remember your history?" Daisy asked, cutting in before Mark could respond. She glanced at the others, a concerned look in her eyes. Isla shrugged. "Depends on the subject." Daisy exhaled sharply. "Right, then let's start simple. What can you guys tell me about King Arthur?" "Well, from the mundane side of things, I can tell you he was a legendary king who wielded the sword Excalibur and formed the Knights of the Round Table," Kylie says, her eyes lighting up at the mention of such a famous figure. "But in reality, he was a Shadowhunter," Logan interjects nonchalantly, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. "More to the point, the Round Table was basically his council, and he was the head of it." "No way! Really?" Kylie bursts out, disbelief evident in her voice. "Yeppers," Isla chimes in, giving her parabatai a bright smile. "And that sword of his, it was definitely real. Like Cortana, it was forged by Wayland the Smith." Mark nods, letting his gaze travel over the group. "That's all true, and as such, so are the stories of Morgan and Mordred," he adds, his tone heavy with significance. "Morgan Le Fay is often portrayed as a sorceress or witch in mundane lore, but in our world, some accounts suggest she may have been a warlock, one with a dangerous amount of knowledge and power." Daisy crosses her arms, brow furrowed thoughtfully. "So, if Arthur was a Shadowhunter, that means the conflicts with Morgan and Mordred weren't just legendary battles. They were actual Shadowhunter conflicts." "That's right," Mark confirms. "And if Mordred really has been freed, especially after all these centuries, then we're dealing with one of the oldest enemies our kind has ever faced. Someone who knows our secrets, our weaknesses, and isn't afraid to use them." A tense silence falls over the group as they absorb Mark's words. The air in the hidden chamber feels colder, as though the very walls are listening to their conversation. Ace's voice breaks the stillness. "So, what's our next move, boss man?" he asks, casting a wary glance at the remains of the Adamus casket scattered across the floor. Mark sets his jaw, lifting his gaze from the wreckage. "We find Mordred," he says firmly, "and we figure out how to stop whatever plan he's cooking up before this turns into a repeat of history none of us want to relive." "Finding him won't be that hard," says Simon Lovelace as he steps into the room, his casual tone a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere lingering among the group. Isabel, moving gracefully at his side, offers a polite nod in greeting. "Stopping him? Now, that's going to be the hard part." All eyes turn to the newcomers, their surprise evident. Mark stands a little straighter, his gaze sharpening. "Simon, Isabel, did Alex send you?" Simon shrugs, sliding his hands into his pockets. "You know Alec. He's got a sense for big trouble, and Mordred definitely qualifies." Isabel crosses her arms, her dark eyes flashing with determination as she surveys the shattered remains of the Adamus casket. "As soon as word spread about an elder curse in Cornwall, we knew we had to see it for ourselves." Kylie, still shaken by the revelation that Mordred was King Arthur's son, blurts out, "You think Mordred's stronger than we realized?" Simon's expression turns grim, the easygoing persona slipping just a fraction. "Mordred's been sealed away for centuries, time enough for legends to grow around him. If even half those stories are true, then yeah, he's dangerous." "Dangerous doesn't even begin to cover it," Isabel adds in a low voice. One misstep, and we could be looking at chaos unlike anything the Shadow World has faced in a very long time. Ace folds his arms again, smirking at Isabel's confirmation. So it's a normal Tuesday then, he snickers, though the tension in the air suggests otherwise. Logan, never one to hold his tongue, bristles. What's the big damn deal? He's just some warlock. We've killed loads of them before. Isabel whirls on him, her dark eyes flashing with fury. First of all, my brother-in-law is a warlock, so don't badmouth them, she snaps, her voice echoing through the chamber. And second, Simon adds, placing a calming hand on Isabel's shoulder, he's not just a warlock, he's also a Shadowhunter. Remember, all the stories are true, so if the one about Morgan and Arthur having a child is real, then Mordred is as much Nephilim as any of us. A somber hush falls over the group. The scattered shards of the Adamus casket glint ominously under the flickering lights, a silent reminder of the colossal threat now at large. Ace clenches his jaw, Logan scowls but keeps quiet, and Daisy exchanges a worried glance with Kylie and Isla. Finally, Mark takes a measured breath and exhales slowly. All right, he says, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Then we'd better figure out how to handle a hybrid warlock Shadowhunter who may very well have the backing of a Prince of Hell, and we need to do it fast. No one argues. There's too much at stake, and the clock is ticking.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channel, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.